You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 160. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action today. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and I'm excited to share my stories and life lessons with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode and the last episode of 2022. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac. Today, I want to help you get into the new year, starting off on the right foot when it comes to your PR strategy. And I'm sharing the top 3 mistakes that I see clients make. Oftentimes, these are mistakes that are made before their clients, or they are the reason why they are coming to me for help. I think it's really important that we look at each of these quote unquote mistakes. I'm using my air quotes here. You can't see it. And to make sure that you're not doing the same thing. These are things that are easily overcome and things that you can do now in order to put your best foot forward in the new year with your PR strategy. And if you're on a budget when it comes to PR and what you're going to do, there was a great article that I contributed to last week in PRNews about how to create a strategy on a tight budget. So I will link to that in the show notes, but it was in PRNews and you can find it all over my social media. I shared it as well. So it doesn't matter if you have a budget or not, you can do PR to use to help grow your business, your visibility, your thought leadership, sell more books, sell more services, all of that great stuff. So let's get on to the top 3 mistakes. The first one is that thinking that PRs and podcast interviews are all about selling whatever it is that you do. Whether you're an author and you want to sell more books, or you have a business and you want more clients, the thought that PR is the venue, the road to travel down in order to sell. PR and podcast interviews are not about you. And I can't stress that enough. The whole goal is to share your story, your message, to educate other people. And that is what good PR and podcast interviews are all about. So when you go in to pitch yourself, especially if you have a publicist, it shouldn't be around your brand. You shouldn't be pitching that you sell cars. Nobody wants to hear about that. They want to hear about your story. How did you get to where you are today? What are your unique topics that only you can speak on? Is it that you launched this business because you knew it was needed in the world and nobody else was doing it? I have a client who that's a big part of her story is that she saw the need for this business, waited for it to happen. It didn't happen. And so she launched a business doing it. Is it that you had a big career move in the midst of midlife? Many people do that. I've done that. But what is it that motivated you to take that extra step? What is it that you went through in order to accomplish that step? Sharing those stories, the inspiration, your voice is what's going to get you the interviews. It's what's going to get you the earned media when it comes to PR. So make sure that it's not about selling. You can't go into it with the thought process of, I want to sell more. We all want to sell more. We get that. But it needs to be about what's coming from your heart. What's coming from your mind with the knowledge that you can share and the education that you can bring. So if you go into it with that, then you not only have unique speaking topics, but you're being genuine and that awful word, authentic. That's what PR and podcast interviews are all about. The second biggest mistake that clients make is that they don't repurpose and share their interviews. I can't stress this enough. I had someone say to me just the other day, why do you think I'm not getting bigger interviews? I want to land something just ginormous, huge. And I looked at her social media and I said, well, you haven't shared a single interview that you've done. Not a single one shows up in your feed. So that would tell me as a stranger that you've never been interviewed. Whereas if you share everywhere that you've been interviewed, not only are you saying thank you to the host, the journalist, the media outlet, but you're also showing everyone else in the world that what you have to say is of value, that people want to hear from you. And so you need to repurpose your interviews into more marketing content. And it's so easy to do. It's doing a podcast interview is like the biggest whammy, huge thing that you can do for yourself to create more content. You can create a blog post for your website. You can create multiple social media posts, whether it's quotes that were from your interview or it's just the interview in and of itself. You can then take it and create more content about, like this, for instance, your top 3 mistakes that you see being made. You can just create more and more content from one single interview and repurpose it. But you also need to show everybody that you are being featured and interviewed. You are wanted. You are a source that people are coming to get this knowledge that only you have. So you need to share that with everybody. I get that oftentimes it's hard to promote yourself. I completely get that, but it's a hurdle you need to overcome. I myself have overcome it. And I say that proudly. For a long time, I put quotes up that, were from Oprah. And now you can look at my feed, and if there's a quote, it's from me. I said it. I took it from an interview and I put it in a graphic, and I am quoting myself. And that may seem very weird, especially in the beginning, but that's the whole point of getting out there. That is the point of earned media and PR and podcast interviews, because how else are you going to sell more if you are not promoting yourself? So it's something that I know can be hard for many people, but you have to just kind of bite the bullet. And this is one of those come to Jesus moments that I'll have with clients of you just got to do it. And if it feels weird, then ask someone else to make the graphic for you and post it. But you need to promote yourself. You need to share the interviews, repurpose your interviews. Because at the end of the day, if you don't promote yourself, then who is? It's your responsibility to show others the value that you bring, the expertise that you have, the reason why you should be the thought leader for whatever industry you're in. This is all up to you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. As a publicist, yes, I get paid to promote people, but it is ultimately your job. I have a Rolodex of clients that I am promoting. You get to promote just yourself. And that's why this is so important. Now, the third biggest mistake I see clients make is that they just don't start. They don't start looking for earned opportunities in PR. They don't start pitching themselves to be interviewed on podcasts. And the reasons vary. It can be that they don't think their story is important enough. Nobody wants to hear from them. They don't know what kind of topics they could even speak on. Their social media numbers aren't high enough, in their opinion. They don't have enough followers. It's that their website isn't quite ready yet. They aren't ready to launch everything. So why should they get earned media if they aren't fully launched? And my whole message to you, it's a big one. Are you ready? You need to just start. You need to start promoting yourself. You need to pitch yourself. Get the earned media now, land the podcast interviews now, because it's all going to ramp up to that point where you are launching the business. And now you've launched it. So what next? If you already have all of these interviews done and under your belt, you have a foundation that you can grow from. And you need to just start. This isn't about the number of followers you have on social media, because quite frankly, nobody cares. There might be some of the bigger influencers or bigger podcast hosts, but what they're looking for is the compelling story the message, the education, the knowledge that you're sharing. And that's why it's not going to matter if you have 20 followers or 2 million followers. If your message is what others need to hear, then you're going to be interviewed on it. And the people will come. Trust me. You will gain followers as you put yourself out there. Your website, it should at least be up and running. But you're going to then use the earned media and the podcast interviews to add to it, to add to your media page. You need to get started now. I say this with a lot of love. You need to start now. Not tomorrow, not the next day. Start now. And it might not be that you can invest in hiring a publicist, and that's okay. You can pitch yourself. You simply need to start. The world is literally waiting to hear from you because only you can share the story and the message that you have. No one else can do it like you do it. You are special, you are unique, and you need to share of yourself with the world. So that's why you need to start now. There may be hurdles where your mindset's telling you, I'm not ready for this. I don't know how to public speak. I get nervous. And that's one of the great things about podcast interviews is you get to do it from the comfort of your own home. Oftentimes, you're not even on video. If you are, maybe you're just talking to the other person, just like you would on a Zoom. You're not in front of hundreds of people or thousands of people, and yet ultimately you are. It's comfortable. You can make this about you. I'm right now in my office. I have a beanie on, I have slippers on, and I'm talking to you. So it doesn't need to be something bigger than what it actually is. You're not dressing up with your glam squad and having to go accept an award and talking in front of people and clamming up and worrying about all of that. This is intimate. And this is about you sharing of yourself to help other people. And if you look at it that way, that this is your job to help others with the knowledge you have, then you owe it to the rest of the world to do that. It ties into leaving that legacy for others. What are people going to remember you for? Well, PR is part of that. And maybe that sounds weird to some of you, but to put yourself out there and to share of your knowledge and then promote that you have been there. You're sharing your story. It all goes hand in hand. So the 3 biggest mistakes that I want to make sure you do not do are to think that PR and interviews are about selling. It's not. It's about the message, the education, the knowledge. It's about helping other people. Do not forget to repurpose your interviews, to share your episodes, to let people know where you've been, to promote yourself. But ultimately, you're also promoting your message, your story, and the people who have helped you put it out there, the journalists, the media outlets, the podcast hosts. And third and final biggest mistake that you are not to repeat is to simply not start. You need to start today. We have New Year's coming. There's New Year's resolutions, and having a PR strategy and plan in place needs to be on your resolution of lists of things to start now. You can go to the show notes for the link on the PRNews PR on a Budget article that I talked about. And if you have questions on where to even begin, just reach out. Send me a DM, send me an email, and I will give you some tips on how to start, where to start, what are some free resources that you can use. Things like HARO, Help a Reporter Out, Qwoted, that's Qwoted. They have media opportunities all the time. Every day I get emails from both of those outlets on what journalists are looking for. Go on Twitter. Look up #journo request and see what kind of sources people are looking for. Pitch yourself to your favorite podcast. But whatever it is, you simply just need to do it. You owe it to yourself and you owe it to the rest of us in the world.